home outside. He says, it'll be interesting. He says, it is hot and there are so many mosquitoes. But who could deny the majesty of South Florida backyards? Right before the onset of summer when it's absolutely too hot to be out here. Anyway, hi everybody. I'm back with another instrument for you. And this one is called Here's the Rubs. Back in late 2025, kind of went down a YouTube rabbit hole with friction mallets, which are essentially bouncy balls on the end of fiberglass rods or some kind of stick that percussionists used to rub against membranes, metal surfaces, plastic, all kinds of different implements. And if you rub the mallet at just the right speed, whatever surface you're rubbing on starts to oscillate and vibrate. And what you get are these really organic sounding, almost synth-like textures. But they have the qualities of an acoustic instrument. The dynamics respond in a really organic way. The timbral qualities really sound like a natural thing that's vibrating, and as a result you get these sounds that live in this kind of liminal space between synthesizers and acoustic sources. So I decided to make an instrument out of these, and without much further ado, we're going to dive into the interface. It's not super complex, but there are definitely some elements and some information that will help using it a little more effective. So let's jump into the computer and I'll show you how Here's the Rub works. All right, here she is. Here's the rubs. Here's the rubs. First thing to cover is that the mapping of these samples, which if you look at this menu right here, there are 8 different drum sounds to choose from. We're going to start with bass drum. But for each one of those instrument selections, there are 3 samples, each of which is mapped across 2 octaves of the keyboard. So sample 1 is C0 to C2, sample 2 is C3 to C5, sample 3 is C6 to C8. It's much like a heaviosity or percussion library, traditional percussion library. Some of these samples have pitches, which you can use melodically and harmonically. Some of them are more noise and atonal. So that's why they're mapped in this way, both for some functionality in terms of range, but also timbral characteristics more so. So starting with the gray knobs towards the bottom, when I recorded these, I used essentially 3 different sound sources. A geophone, which is a specialized low frequency sensor that's physically attached to the instrument that I was playing, either through a suction cup or a magnet or something. Kontakt microphone, which is the same principle. It's another monophonic source, but great signal to noise ratio, a lot of signal, not much noise. And a lot more frequency information, high frequency information, so more detail than the geophone is capable of, but not as much low frequency information as the geophone is capable of. And lastly, a stereo setup of ultrasonic microphones, which give just a real pause for airplane. We live right in the flight path of Miami International Airport, and they like to remind us every 5 minutes. Anyway, stereo ultrasonic microphones, which provide a very close, intimate, but very wide image to play with. And you can balance these 3 sources independently using these knobs. So let's just take a listen to the first bass drum sample, and I'm going to play these mics individually so you get a sense of how they sound. Here's the geophone. Here's Kontakt. More high frequency information, which you can hear. And the stereo. Nice, wide, rich, lots of information to play with. By default, everything's up full. Continuing to the right, you've got a global attack time knob. This will adjust the attack time for every sample, so it's instrument wide. So if you put this up to like 1,000 milliseconds, 1 second, you'll get a slow ramp into the sample. And same thing for release. It's a release knob. If you turn it up, each sample will play more akin to a one-shot versus like a keyboard instrument or something like that. We'll come back to the reverb knob. Next up, I want to talk about the mallet knobs, which you might not at first notice, but they're super important. Starting with the first one, as I mentioned, a lot of these sounds do contain some tonal information, And in the cases where you want to use them like a melodic or harmonic instrument, you may not have the range that you need across just 2 octaves for each individual sample. So this is just a rough pitch shift. So if you reach the end of your range, say you need something higher, you can raise the pitch. If you need something lower on the other end, hey, if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. Consider sharing it with somebody who is into audio production and music making. Really helps keep the channel going and motivates me to keep making cool stuff like this. The next knob controls the cutoff frequency for a low-pass filter, which is a very common function in a lot of synthesizers you're probably familiar with. By default, it's mapped to CC11, so you can write it dynamically. We'll come back to the mangle knob because that one is super interesting and needs more of an explanation. A pan knob, it pans things left and right. And lastly, a width knob. So this really only comes into play when you're dealing with the stereo microphone source. It's very wide, like all my stuff, it's very wide. So if that's too much for your project, your track, and you need to hone it in a little bit, pulling it down will make everything monophonic, collapse everything to mono. And putting it all the way to the right will get you hyper stereo, which will have phase issues for sure, but you know, feels like you're swimming in it, which is kind of neat. Command clicking on Mac will bring all those knobs back to their default values. Okay, the mangle knob. Each of the geophone, Kontakt, and stereo mic sources for each of these instruments were run through customized processing chains in order to coax as much character out of them as possible. Now, those processing chains are completely specific to each microphone and each individual sample. So there's a lot of variety baked into this alternative version, this alter ego of each of these samples. But you can hear those either by using your mod wheel, it's mapped to CC1, or by mousing up on the mangle knob. So like, we'll take our bass sample we've been playing with so far. So in a lot of cases, this is saturation, boutique distortions, sometimes it's modulation effects, mostly plug-in based stuff, but it is designed in such a way that it coaxes as much character out of each of these individual samples as possible. So quickly, I don't want to belabor it, but like if we just isolate the geophone with this alternate version of the bass drum, kind of like a bit crushy lo-fi thing. If we isolate the Kontakt mic, epic grungy distortion, sounds awesome. And then if we do the stereo, it's like a low end saturation. I'm hearing like different upper harmonics, super cool stuff. And so every single sample of every single instrument has 3 custom processed samples attached to them, which you access by turning up and down the mangle knob or mod wheel CC1. Going back to the original sample, actually let's jump up to the second bass sample so we're not getting bored with our source material. It sounds like this. Okay, if you click the effects button below the instrument selection menu, there are a bunch of included effects to take advantage of. These differ slightly between the Decent Sampler and the Kontakt versions of the instrument. Kontakt and Decent Sampler offer different effect suites, so they can't be the same, but I tried to have as much parity as possible. Most of the things you can do in one, you can do in the other. In the case of Kontakt, you have a compressor, which you can enable by disabling that bypass check, which you set threshold. You can control the ratio, the attack time, and the release. So highly customizable compression functions in much the same way that you would expect a compressor to function, controlling your dynamics. Below that, you've got a chorus. These sounds are so harmonically rich that chorusing, any of them can provide a lot of subtle movement that isn't there by nature. So you get the idea. It's a chorus. Vibrato, which is actually more like a volume tremolo. I love this effect, especially with the alternate versions of each of the samples. You can get some really aggressive, punchy stuff. It would be as at home in an EDM track as a cinematic composition of some kind. So gets really powerful once you start automating the rate knob. So I'm going to turn the mix up 100%. Nothing's happening because the rate knob is at 0. You heard a lot of that in the trailer music that started out on this video. But yeah, so you get the idea. Volume tremolo. Again, automating this in the DAW is super cool. You can get great effects with this. And if you increase it to its max, you get some frequency modulation effects, which those are always fun to play with. All right, distortion. A lot of these, butterfly. Distortion. A lot of these, especially the alter ego versions of the samples, have distortion baked in, but you can always use more, obviously. Grabbing the low pass filter. Oh my God, so fun. All right, lastly, reverb. Okay, so reverb, you've got all of your probably commonly expected reverb controls: pre-delay, cutoff, which is a roll-off of high-frequency information in the reverb return, decay, which controls the length of the reverb itself, and then modulation if you want some color and some movement in the reverb more so than there is by default. A lot of these sounds, like I said, are kind of like drones, can make great drones, textures, synth-like sounds, and they benefit a ton from just a little bit of reverb. Helps them to smooth out a little bit at times. Anyway, you get the idea. Reverb is great. Everybody loves reverb. Filming outside seemed like such a great idea until I actually got out here. It's beautiful, but like, how can anyone work in this environment? Okay, wrapping things up. Just going to quickly go through the other sound sources so you get a sense of what's available. There's a secondary drum pack. Yeah, there's just some epic bass drones that are hidden within this thing. Whew. Too much fun. All right, there's a China cymbal. Nice harmonic stuff you can get out of that. Damn. Camera overheating. Like this was a terrible idea. Don't film outside. All right, so back to the other instruments. I filmed this like 3 times. There's always something going wrong. You've got a tam-tam, which sounds awesome. Got a sizzle cymbal, which sounds great with reverb. you pitch this one really far down, the little individual rivets hitting sounds like, it's almost like the sound of like sparks from a welding gun hitting the ground. It is wild stuff. Snare drum, which is one of the more tonal examples. So this is a case where you might want to grab the pitch wheel if you need to get it out of that register. It's like this weird harmonic modulation thing happening when you start to roll in the mangle knob. Lastly, timpani, my favorite probably. Just disgusting textures. So much fun. And there are 2 sets of timpani samples. All right, I gotta get out of here. The mosquitoes are killing me. All right, that is it. Here's the rubs. I really hope you enjoy playing with this instrument. It was an immense amount of fun to make, and every time I sit down, it just gives me so much inspiration for things I would never even think about from a sonic standpoint. And as we have heard, it's at home in a variety of genres and a variety of contexts. So please let me know how it hits you. If you have suggestions for improvements, love to hear those as well. And plain, if you enjoyed this video, if you like my content, if you like free instruments, tutorials on sound design, I've started posting my own original music compositions, which have been getting a great reception, so thank you for that. But if you enjoy this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. It helps keep the channel going and motivates me to keep creating cool stuff like Here's the Rubs. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Cheers.